Hello everyone, it's so good to see you here in another Hub Meet. I really want to take a moment today to remind you what these meetings are all about. I have an app that's called UX/UI Hub that you might know it already. But if you didn't know, like today is the time for you to also get to know it. It's filled with resources for designers, jobs, events like this also happening every month. The UX/UI Hub is free and you can just download it in your phone, connect with other peers and also other designers, see what others experts are sharing and learn. This is what I continuously do, and I think every designer should be doing every day. So my name is Karla Fernandes. I am a UX, UI, and digital product designer. I have been building products for over 25 years, and this product is my way to give back to the community. Now, let's see. Réka, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Karla, for the introduction, and thank you all for being here today. So I'm Réka. I'm a product designer at UXfolio, a portfolio builder tailored specifically for UX designers and researchers. And I've been at UXfolio for over 2 years now. And during this time, I've had the chance to dive deep into what makes a portfolio successful. Because at UXfolio, we are constantly analyzing portfolio trends, talking to recruiters and hiring managers to understand what they are actually looking for in a portfolio, and learning from our users' success stories who have landed jobs at top companies like Google, Apple, and Amazon. So I'm super excited to share the insights I gained through all this so you can apply them to your own portfolio and take it to the next level. And I'd also like to say a few words about UXfolio for those of you who aren't familiar with it. So UXfolio is a no-code website builder designed for UX portfolios. And what makes it different from other website builders is that it's tailored to the needs of UX professionals. So you're not starting from a blank page or a generic website template. It has features that make portfolio building fast and easy, including a case study generator, a thumbnail designer, built-in device mockups, pre-built sections for showcasing UX methods like interviews, wireframes, and usability testing, and much more. So you can focus on the content instead of having to figure out the building part. And that's all from me. Thank you, Karla.
I'm really excited to have you this time here, Réka, and sharing with us the really hidden gems of how to build a really good portfolio. I am on the way to review my own, so this will be useful to myself too. Designing your portfolio is not something you do once, right? You keep doing it every time you have a new project, every time you want a new role, when you are looking for a job, when you are looking for new customers. You have to have in mind that this is super important. You also receive some codes to use, and that is super exciting. You get some promo codes to use in UXfolio and get some really huge discounts. So without further ado, I will allow Réka to start her presentation. And I'm also here listening and on the chat. So any questions, put it there.
All right. Thank you, Karla. And let's dive into today's topic, the anatomy of impactful UX portfolios. And to find out what makes portfolios truly impactful, we went straight to the source. We interviewed senior UX professionals and design leads at top companies and asked them what makes a UX portfolio truly impactful. And before we get into the essential elements, templates, and frameworks, I want to share a few highlights from these interviews. And let's start with Jared Spool, one of the most respected voices in UX. He told us that what he's always looking for in a portfolio is evidence. Evidence that the person can actually do the job, and he wants to hear the story of how they've done it before. And then there's Koji Pereira, who was a UX lead at Google when we spoke with him, and he said that the portfolios he remembers always have strong storytelling. In his words, very good introduction, then development, and then final learnings or next steps, things like that. I think understanding storytelling and learning a little bit about that will help you build a very good portfolio. And we also had the opportunity to talk with Susan Weinschenk, author of 100 Things Every Designer Needs to Know About People. And she highlighted something similar. You have to tell a story about a particular project or client, but the heart of the story is not the image of the screen, but the story of what we did with it, why we did it, and what the user's reactions were, and so on. So what's the common thread in all of these? Well, it's storytelling. Great portfolios don't just present work, they tell a story about how you think, solve problems, and create impact. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on today. And in this presentation, I'll walk you through the essential elements that recruiters and hiring managers expect to see in a strong portfolio, then how to structure your case studies as compelling stories, and I'll also share some practical tips to make your portfolio stand out and leave a lasting impression. And let's start with the essential elements. So the first thing a recruiter will check is the navigation. Your navigation should be clear and intuitive because recruiters are busy. They want to find the most important information quickly. And a simple and straightforward navigation ensures they can access what they need without any hassle. And a small but powerful touch is adding your name or logo to the navigation bar. It's a simple way to ensure that recruiters remember whose portfolio they're looking at. And it also serves as an anchor point that takes them back to your homepage with just one click. And make sure your navigation is easy to use and it's clear where the viewer is while browsing your portfolio. And you can also include a resume link that opens your PDF resume in a new tab, because this allows recruiters to access your professional details without disrupting their flow. And I will show you some examples from real-life portfolios built in UXfolio for each essential element we are discussing. So here you can see two examples with straightforward navigation, including a name or logo and links to all portfolio pages and also a resume link. And the next essential element recruiters will look at is the headline. And this is one of the most important components as it sets the tone for the whole portfolio and your personal story. It's important to avoid generic headlines like, "I'm a passionate UX designer." Instead, be specific and communicate your unique value proposition in a simple yet compelling way. And keep it short and scannable. Your headline isn't the place to tell your whole story. It's just the hook. So aim for one strong sentence or a short phrase, and more details can be included on your About page. And to stand out instantly, you can tailor your headline to the specific role you're applying for using keywords or skills from the job description. This instantly communicates that you're a good fit. And let's look at two examples built in UXfolio. In the first one, the designer mentions his location, which can be useful if location is relevant for the role, and his specialization in designing responsive websites. And in the second example, the designer highlights their years of experience, which is a great way to build trust, and the type of products they have worked on, B2B solutions. The key is to find your unique angle and build your headline around that. And here are some headline templates that you can use to craft an effective headline, each focusing on different things like impact, industry experience, approach, or background. Just pick one and tailor it to your personal story and goals. Also, feel free to take a screenshot of this slide and use it later. And now let's move on to the next part, which is the heart of every portfolio. And that is the work section, which consists of your case study thumbnails that lead to the case study pages. And think of them as book covers or movie posters for your case studies. The goal is to grab recruiters' attention and make them want to open the case study. And the number of case studies is an important aspect here, and the guiding principle is quality over quantity. So it's recommended to include between 3 to 5 case studies, but it depends on your career level, because for entry-level designers, 2-3 strong case studies are usually enough, while more experienced designers are expected to have between 3 to 6. And the title and subtitle should be intriguing and informative. And one of the most common mistakes I see in portfolios is using the product's or the company's name as the title of the case study. And this is not going to get someone's attention unless it's a super well-known company. So instead, highlight your contribution and the outcome in the title of the case study. And the thumbnail images should showcase 1 or 2 key screens from the project in a visually appealing way, but avoid overly complex visuals. And consistency is key, so make sure to use the same mockup and background styles in each thumbnail to achieve a cohesive look. And let's see some examples. So you can see some case study thumbnails created in UXfolio here, and you can use different layouts and styles. What matters the most is that they are consistent and work together as a cohesive set that aligns with your portfolio's overall aesthetics. And with UXfolio's Thumbnail Designer, you can create eye-catching thumbnails in just a few clicks. Simply upload your screenshots, then choose from a variety of layouts, device mockups, and background styles, all without needing an external device design tool. And the best part is that your thumbnails will be consistent and perfectly aligned with your portfolio. And the next essential element of any portfolio is the About page. And this is your opportunity to make a personal connection with recruiters and hiring managers. And while your professional journey is important, don't forget to let a little of your personality shine through. This will help recruiters assess if you're a good cultural fit. So start with a summary of your professional journey, highlighting relevant experiences and skills. And for career switchers, you can mention past roles, but make sure to emphasize the transferable skills that relate to UX. Then include a brief mention of your personal interests and hobbies to give a glimpse of who you are outside of work. And optionally, you can include a profile image. And if you choose to add one, make sure it's professional and reflects your personality. This image is part of the story you're telling with your portfolio. And this section is also a great place to showcase any notable awards or achievements and testimonials from clients or colleagues. And testimonials add credibility and social proof, and they're also a great way to show how it is like to work with you. So definitely add them if you have some. And here you can see 2 About pages created in UXfolio, each taking a slightly different approach. In the first example, the designer first talks about her professional journey and then describes her hobbies outside of work, drawing a connection between the two. And the second portfolio belongs to a designer at Oracle, and she starts with her work experience and skills, followed by just a short paragraph about her interests outside of work. But what makes this page truly stand out is the gallery of personal photographs that add the personal touch to it. And lastly, make sure it's easy for recruiters to contact you. So include your contact information in the navigation or the footer, so visitors have access to them on every page of your portfolio. And these should include your professional email address that they can copy or a mail to link, and links to your professional social media profiles like LinkedIn, Behance, or Dribbble, where they can find additional information or examples of design work. And adding a contact section at the end of case studies is also an excellent way to motivate viewers to reach out after reading a case study. And you can see these different approaches here. So in the first 2 examples, the contact information and social links are included in the footer. And in the example on the right, the CTA section is placed at the end of a case study. So to recap, on the homepage, recruiters expect to find a clear navigation, a specific headline that communicates why they should hire you, a collection of case studies that showcase your best work, and ways to contact you. Again, feel free to take a screenshot of this slide and use it later. And let's see the About page. So an effective About page should include an overview of your career journey, a brief mention of your personal hobbies and interests, a profile image for a stronger personal connection, and testimonials that add social proof and credibility. And with that, let's dive into case studies. So recruiters and hiring managers often go through hundreds of portfolios for a single position. And when they see the same case study structure over and over, they're not exactly motivated to read them. That's why storytelling is so important. It grabs attention and makes your case study memorable. So now we'll break down how to structure your case studies as compelling stories that recruiters will actually want to read. And let's pause here and compare what most case studies are doing and what story-driven case studies do instead. So most case studies I've seen are like reports. They list all the steps of the project in a dry checklist style, and they often include forced UX methods just to tick all the boxes. And recruiters aren't looking for someone who can follow a textbook process like the double diamond in case of every project. They want to see how you think, how you solve problems, and how you navigate challenges. And in contrast to a report-like case study, story-driven case studies take the readers on a journey. They show how you moved from problems to solutions, keeping readers emotionally engaged and curious throughout. And let's see how you can achieve that. So there's a simple framework you can use to turn any project into a compelling story. And one of the most widely used storytelling structures, it's used in books, movies, theater, and even TED Talks, is the 3-part story arc. And this structure can be translated to case studies like this. The hook pulls readers in, it sparks curiosity and gives them a reason to keep reading. The journey is your design process, but told as a story. It's not just a list of steps, it walks readers through the insights that shaped your solution, the decisions you made, the challenges you faced, and the solutions you came up with. And then the outcome. which is the resolution of the story. So what does the final solution look like and why? What changed for users or the business? And what did you learn from all this? And this structure makes your case study more authentic, more engaging, and much more memorable. So let's break down each part. And let's start with the hook. The hook is your chance to convince readers to dive deeper. And think of it like a teaser at the beginning of podcast episodes. You know how a podcast often opens with a short clip from later in the episode. And that teaser is there to grab attention before the host even welcomes the audience. And it doesn't give away the whole story, but it hints at something interesting, something that makes you want to keep listening. And just like that podcast teaser, your hook should make the reader want to keep reading your case study. And a case study hook consists of 3 parts. The first is the title. The title is like the title of a podcast episode or an article headline. It should spark interest, not just describe the product or feature. And it can be complemented with a subtitle that adds even more context. And it's also a great idea in case of case studies to add the visual teaser of the final design to the hero section. But you don't have to show everything here. Select the most relevant or eye-catching screen to spark interest and encourage recruiters to keep reading. And the next part of your hook is the overview. And this is where you set the scene and help your audience understand the bigger picture. And an effective overview should cover the context of the project. Was this a redesign project, a feature for an existing product, or a concept project? And background information about the product or business necessary for framing the story. And some key details like your role and contribution, the team structure, and the project's timeline. And after setting the scene with the overview, it's time to introduce the problem. And this is what creates story tension. It's something that didn't work, something the business or the users were struggling with. And if you didn't have a specific problem, then you can still present the goals of the project. The important thing is to provide a starting point. And then the solution. But don't reveal the full solution here. Just give a hint that you solved it to keep readers interested in how you did it. And including a visual teaser here is also a nice touch. For example, in case of a redesign project, you can add the before-after comparison, just like in the example you see here. And then comes the journey. So the journey is the core of your case study. This is where you walk readers through your process, but told like a story, not a report. And this part should cover the insights. So before jumping into the design process, it's important to show the why behind it. And to do that, you should present the key insights that influenced your design decisions. And these can be insights you gained through different research methods like interviews, surveys, competitive research, or just by analyzing data. And make sure to include only the insights that helped shape your designs. And to make the story feel complete, don't forget to refer back to these later on when you're explaining your design decisions. And then comes the design. So this is at the moment where you show your creative process. Highlight key decisions, trade-offs, and the evolution of your designs. And to make this part truly impactful, provide context for each stage of your design process and explain how one stage led to the other. Don't forget to highlight your design choices and how they connect back to the insights you uncovered earlier. And add supporting visuals for each stage to make it more engaging. Make sure you always provide context for the visuals by adding a short description or annotations right on the images. This way, they will become part of your narrative. And the last part is the validation. So this part shows how you made sure that your designs worked. You can include results from usability testing or even post-launch learnings. What's important here is to show that you validated your solution. And the last part of your story is the outcome, which is the resolution. This is what makes your story feel complete. And let's break it down into 3 parts. So the first is the final design. After walking your readers through the key stages of your process, this is the moment to showcase the solution. But don't just drop in a bunch of UI shots, frame them around the problem they solved. And if possible, include interactive prototypes to give a hands-on feel of your solution, or video walkthroughs or GIFs, because these bring your designs to life, making it easier for recruiters and hiring managers to understand the flows and see the interactions. And then the impact. The impact section is where you show that your work made a difference and show how your solution improved a user experience or contributed to business goals. In order to do that, you can share measurable outcomes like improved product or business metrics. But if metrics aren't available, you can still include feedback from stakeholders, clients, or even team members that highlights the success of your work. And you can also add user testimonials or reviews to showcase how your designs solved user problems or improved their experience, just like you can see in the first example here. And finally, the reflection. This shows that you're a self-aware, mature designer who evolves with every project. You can highlight this by focusing on 3 key areas. First, the learnings. There's something to learn from every project, so try to think of the things that were new to you and share them with your readers. Then, what you would do differently. Not every project goes perfectly, and that's okay. Reflect on what you would change or improve if you could do it again, because this shows recruiters your ability to think critically and grow. And then, the next steps. If you had more time or resources, how would you take the project further? Showing that you can think beyond just finishing the project reinforces your commitment to continuous improvement. So that's the full story arc. You've hooked the reader, you walked them through the journey, and then landed on a clear, impactful outcome. But of course, a great story is just one part of a standout portfolio. There are a few extra touches that you can do to take it to the next level. And the first one is tailoring your portfolio to the job. So your portfolio might be excellent, but if it doesn't align with the role you're applying for, recruiters might just skip past it. And to grab their attention instantly, you need to show that you're a great fit. So start by analyzing the job description and then tailor your personal story to match it. Highlight a key skill that's mentioned in the job description and feature it in your headline. And pick case studies that are most relevant to the position and move them to the top of your portfolio. Often you already have the right experience, it just needs to be framed clearly. So don't make recruiters connect the dots themselves, connect the dots for them. And the next tip is to use a consistent design language. And this is a surprisingly common mistake I see in portfolios. Designers try to showcase everything they can do, and the portfolio ends up looking like a carnival. So instead, treat your portfolio like a product and define a simple color palette. 5 colors are usually enough. And choose 2 fonts, one for headings and one for body text. Then stick to those consistently on every page. Think of it like creating a mini design system for your portfolio. It makes your portfolio feel more cohesive, polished, and professional. And finally, don't build your portfolio in isolation. Get feedback early and often. Once you've added your first case study, start sharing your portfolio with people you trust, mentors, fellow designers, even non-designers. Since you'll likely reuse the same structure for all your case studies, it's much easier to fine-tune the first one instead of reworking everything later. And to make this easier, we actually created review mode in UXfolio. It allows your reviewers to leave comments and reactions directly on your portfolio, so you can collect and manage feedback all in one place. And today we have some special offers for you. With the codes you see here, you can try UXfolio Premium at a discounted price and enjoy all the amazing features I have mentioned today without any limitations. So just sign up on uxfol.io, and when you're ready to upgrade, you can redeem the discount at the checkout. So don't miss out and start building your portfolio today. And thank you for listening, and the word is back to you, Karla.
Amazing, Réka. This is really awesome. I learned so much, and I am sure everyone did too. So we got some questions here. I'm excited to tell you about them. So the first one is, are there any difference between how UX researchers should restructure their portfolios in comparison to designers? Any tips for those looking to break into UX research from a different career, such as market research?
So let's break this question down into 2 parts, because both parts are equally interesting and complex. So the first part is whether the portfolios of UX researchers differ from those of designers. And I'd say that the case studies do differ, because in a designer's portfolio, the case study has a lot of visuals, while a researcher's case study doesn't have that many visuals, but you can still use storytelling and you can still use some visuals to highlight the main insights. For example, what I've seen in UX research portfolios and case studies is that they highlight the user quotes in a nice visual. We actually have a Figma community file done by UXfolio, where you can find visuals in which you can just change, for example, the user quotes, export the image and add it to your portfolio so that you can present those nicely. So there are a lot of ways you can make a researcher case study visual as well. The other things like the storytelling itself and the process is pretty similar. So it's only the visuals that differ.
To add something to your answer, like I really say to a lot of my mentees that want to go just for research to also profit to display a very beautiful wireframe. You don't need to go to the UI, to user interface, and make the high fidelity. But if you make the best of the wireframe and make it at least have the same style and be pretty, that makes a lot of difference, because sometimes people are still evaluating you on your visual skills, even if you are not really applying for a UX UI role.
Yeah, definitely.
Second part of the question, just to recall, it was any tip for those looking to break into UX research from a different career, such as market research.
Yes, and this you can actually turn this around and make it your unique selling point or unique value proposition. So actually you can create a personal story around your transition from that previous role. The important thing is to identify the transferable skills and how those skills relate to UX research in this case, or UX design if you want to become a designer from a different background. So definitely use that. It's a unique angle. It's great to stand out, but just identify the transferable skills and highlight those. So make your past role your strength as a UX researcher or as a UX designer. And actually you can try to find jobs or positions in a similar industry that your previous role was in. And that can also become your advantage that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I have a really short example to add into this one too. I had once a mentee that was waiting tables. So you would say this has nothing to be with UX, UI, it's not transferable. Yes, it is. Like, you are listening to customers, you are helping them shape the experience in the restaurant, in the bar. So she shaped her curriculum exactly like that, that she was actively listening, she was helping with the experience, and it was really amazing to see her curriculum with it. So really think through the transferable skills you have. They might not be so obvious sometimes, but you have to think through the process you go through and how you learn those skills. Second question is, in general, what should a well-structured UX case study actually include?
Yeah, so the essential parts of a UX case study, just like I said in the presentation, are the title and subtitle, then a short overview of the project. So here you just have to provide enough information to set the scene for what's to come. Then some key details. It's very important to highlight your role and your specific contribution, especially if you worked in a team with other designers or researchers. Then the team structure, because recruiters really want to see that you can work with others and collaborate with different roles, like with developers, for example. So add that there, and also the project timeline. And then after you set the scene, it's very important to have a problem statement, because you must have a starting point. This will be the story will be built on this. So it's very important to have that problem statement, and then a little teaser of your solution, just to keep readers want to read on. And then comes the process. And the process is not set in stone. It depends on the project. The important thing is to walk the readers through the key stages of your project. And here, what many designers do wrong, or a common mistake I see, is that they list every little method they use, but sometimes not all methods are relevant in the end. So only include those that actually shaped your designs. So you don't have to explain all the research methods that you did in the beginning. Just highlight the ones that you gained the key insights from and that shaped your solution. And then go into the designs. And after that, it's very important to show the final outcome, and don't just put in a bunch of screenshots there, but also explain them. So always provide context for visuals. That's very important throughout your case study. Don't just put in a lot of screenshots, because nobody's gonna understand those. Those don't add value or don't contribute to your story. Always add context for your visuals. And then after you show the outcome, also, this is very important, share the impact. And not everyone has metrics. If you do have metrics, that's great, that's amazing, share them, be proud of them. But if you don't have access to metrics, then you can share qualitative results as well, like feedback from stakeholders or user quotes from usability tests that you did after the redesign or whatever the project was about. So share those, share that you created value. And after that, it's also crucial to close it with some reflections, with your personal takeaways, like learnings, next steps, things like that. So that, I would say, is that are the most essential elements a case study should include. But it's very important to tailor your case study to the project itself and not to blindly follow a process told by me or anyone else out there. So always tailor it to your case.
I agree with you. Doing every single step of the process is just not necessary. The other question we have is wondering what your thoughts are on short form portfolios that have an overview, summary, and results only. To view the full case study, or you just offer a link or to another page or presentation. The point of this is to make it easier for hiring managers to scan. Is that a good strategy?
Interesting angle. Yeah, it can actually be harder, in my opinion, to then find out the whole story if you then have to navigate elsewhere to find it. So why not include it in the same place? And you can still make it scannable if it's in one place. So every case study should be concise and scannable. But what you mentioned here, that only adding an overview, a summary, and results, yeah, that should be the opening part, definitely. And some recruiters will only read that. So that's why it's important in the intro part to also add a teaser of your solution. And just like I said in the presentation, also a visual of the final solution right in the beginning, because sometimes recruiters only check that part, and that's okay. But if they're curious to dive deeper, I think it's easier for them if they can just scroll on and see everything in one place. But it, of course, it's up to you and your preferences.
I saw once a portfolio, I really loved it, that the guy used some kind of, you could choose who you were at the start, like, oh, I'm a hiring manager, I am a designer, I am just scrolling or something like that. And every one of these persons that you would click on would see a portfolio or tailored to them. So I think that could be used in so many cases, right? A shorter version, too long, didn't read. So you can really abuse from those in certain places. So the last question we have is, how might the case studies look different for entry-level designers with no work experience? That's a good one.
Yeah, this is a really good one. And this is a problem that a lot of entry-level designers struggle with, is that if you don't have experience, well, what to add in your portfolio? So yeah, you can do concept project. You can do, there are prompts, there are certain sites that you can get prompts, and it's like a project brief for a conceptual project. So you can do that. You can also redesign a well-known app or an app that you use and you identified some usability issues with it. And that's also a great idea. And you can also just look around and identify some problems that you have in your everyday life or your family members have, and try to solve that with a digital product. That can become a concept project as well. But I think Karla has some ideas for this.
We might do another event very soon about this and how you can improve your portfolio without having those real case studies to show off. Sign up for the list and get to learn about this new event coming up very soon. I hope you all enjoyed this event, and if you did, subscribe to the Luma events. Get the app, learn about the next experience, and I hope to have Réka again here talking more about portfolios, teaching more about UXfolio, and having you all really improve the work you have been doing.
Thank you all for joining.
Yes, thank you everyone, and let's see each other very soon. Bye.